this tire doesn't go flat while I make the little short trip to my shop, you know, it's kind of sketchy. I checked the air pressure in the back tire and it was low. I aired it up a little bit and gonna take it nice and slow on the way to the shop, so hopefully I don't go flat. It's kind of sketchy. All the radial cords are showing out of the back tire, and it's not a good situation, so hopefully we can make it there without any problems. All right, great, I made it. So got the fan running, it's cooling down the coolant a little bit, but I wanted to verify I didn't have any fuel leaks along the fuel lines, because I've been having to turn up the fuel controller just a little bit more than normal, but it might be because the fuel filter might be getting dirty, because this car sat for a long time before I got to it, and I did change out the fuel filter whenever I redid the fuel system, but now I'm having to turn the dial up a little bit more than the norm, and that could be an indicator that the fuel filter might be getting a little bit dirty. So I'm gonna have to look into that, but no leaks on the fuel system whatsoever. Just have to look things over constantly on this car, because you know it's still in the means of being gone through to make sure everything's reliable, because I try to drive it as much as I can, but you know it's just not my daily, so I have to look things over before and after when I take it out on, you know, a drive or whatnot. But the last weekend I had this car, I did turn up the boost to like 11 psi, and I adjusted the fuel trim on the fuel controller for that, and I just, you know, I was laying into it pretty good and wore out these tires on the inside tread. And you know, that's a problem with these cars, is the old school suspension on these cars. You know, you can't really adjust the camber on it, so I got a remedy for that, how I'm gonna go about fixing that and what to expect, and I'll go through that here in a minute and show you guys what I'm gonna get. But first, let me move some cars in and out and get this thing to where I can put it in the shop and change those tires out. All right guys, so I got the Z32 wheels swapped on the rear, and the tires are in nice shape, so that ought to last me a little while. But I do need to take care of the camber problems that are notorious for the Z31s, and a lot of people like to swap in the S13 subframe and the control arms and everything and go that route, and I'm not going to go that route. For one, S13s are going up in price, they're becoming harder to find, and it's just work that I don't really want to mess with. You know, I already went through the trouble of you know, doing the polyurethane bushings on the rear cross member and all that. Now I do have polyurethane bushings throughout the whole car, and I started looking at options, and RT Track Pro, I did buy the bump steer spacers for the front from RT Track Pro, and I got to tell you, the quality of the products are very nice, and I started looking at their website for solutions to the camber problems on these cars, and they do sell a kit to take care of all that, and I'll pull it up here on my phone real quick. Here's RT Track Pro, and they do sell the adjustable trailing arm conversion kit, and basically it is a Heim joint kit, and it comes like that with it all installed. It has the brackets you weld in and allows you to run these slotted plates with these Heim joints, and I really like the design of this, and it will allow me to correct the toe and correct the camber exactly within spec and take care of that inside tire wear problem that these cars are notorious for whenever they are dropped. So I'm going to be buying this kit here in within this coming month or so. Within a couple weeks I'll be buying this kit, and I'm going to be making future episodes on installing this, and I can't wait to see how it comes out. But that is basically how it looks. And then for the front, I'm going to go ahead and go with this kit, and it is the control arm and tension rod combo. There's all the parts right there, and this is what it looks like installed. Let me get it to adjust. Come on, play nice. So that's what it looks like all installed. It's got the Heim joints and the adjustable tension rods, and that ought to stiffen up the chassis quite a bit. Even with the polyurethane bushings throughout the whole car, I still feel chassis flex coming around corners and whatnot, and with those Heim joints, everything's going to be solid, and it's going to take care of that problem. And you know, I'm really stoked that, you know, I found the kit, and I'm looking forward to installing it. So future episodes of that will be coming out, guys, so stay tuned. But I'm going to talk now about what I have done to the car so far, because a lot of you new subscribers have been asking me what's all been done. But if you really want to see everything that's been done to the car, you could go to my YouTube homepage, click on the playlist, and I have a full build of everything I've done to the car thus far. But I'm going to give a brief overview of everything that I've done. And like I stated, Charles Park, the owner of Power Tricks, he threw me a generous discount to do an install video of his product, which I did. So I have Power Trick coilovers all the way around, 6 kg springs, that way it's nice and comfortable on the street. And I can't even talk right now, guys, sorry for that. I did install stainless steel brake lines all the way around, and I did replace all the rotors with cross drill slotted rotors and ceramic brake pads. And on these coilovers, you do have to run front spacers on the factory front wheels to clear the coilovers. Now I do have 15mm spacers on the front, and with those spacers, it kind of looked funky with the front wheels out wider than the rear. So what I did was I put 30mm spacers on the rear to make it look more unison. And once I do the Heim joint kit on the suspension, I will be buying me some nice wheels and tires to fit nice in there and have the proper offset, so I don't have to run spacers. This isn't like something I like to do, but I had to do it for the coilovers, and that's the reason I did what I did. So Power Tricks coilovers, stainless steel brake lines through all the way around. We have the cross drill slotted rotors. Cross drill slotted rotors and the brake lines I got off of eBay. A lot of these parts that I got on the car, guys, I did get off of eBay. I know they sell a lot of shit parts, but they also sell good parts. You just have to know where to look in the right places. And I bought a lot of shit products from eBay in the past, but I did have a lot of success with eBay parts on this car as well. So take it as you want. But anyway, so like I stated, I did replace all the bushings with polyurethane, and that's going to be null once I put the Heim joint kit in there. But I'm okay with that, and it's going to make the chassis really rigid, and I can't wait to see how that feels. So I'm going to start with the fuel system. Fuel system, what I did was I took the factory fuel pressure regulator out. I replaced it with a Tomei adjustable fuel pressure regulator right here. And basically the factory setup, it has it on the front of the system. I put the fuel pressure regulator on the rear of the system, so it feeds through the fuel filter, comes in. I have a Y adapter right there that splits it off and feeds the fuel rail, and then it exits the fuel rail to the fuel pressure regulator and back to the tank. And I do have a fuel pressure gauge, Marshall fuel pressure gauge, to monitor fuel pressure. And I do still have the factory turbo fuel pump. I haven't seen a need to replace it yet because my fuel trims are fine. To monitor my fuel trims, I have a AEM wideband sensor and gauge. It's mounted right there. And to control the fuel, I have an old school Apexi SAFC2. And I did replace the turbo with a Max Speeding Rod budget turbo that I got off of eBay. And it works great. I haven't had any issues with it. And I have a Blox manual boost controller that I have it turned up to 10 psi. And I'm using the Apexi unit to get the fuel trim right. And I've been fine tuning it, and it's been working great. I've had no issues with that. So I do plan to go Mega Squirt in the future. That way I can control the ignition timing and everything, and I can run a electronic boost solenoid and do boost by gear and all that. But that is going to be in the future after I do the suspension and everything. So, but I did put a catch can on the car, and basically these ports off of the valve covers, they feed in. I have a 2-in 1-out catch can I got off of eBay as well. So they come off the valve covers into the catch can. Out of the catch can, it comes into this little elbow pipe right here I have mounted before the turbo, but after the mass airflow sensor. So that's how I did the catch can setup on this. And when I did buy the car was shit. It was stock. You know, it ran rough. It had a lot of issues. So I ended up pulling the heads off of it. I had the heads all gone through at the machine shop, reconditioned, new head gaskets, put it back on. And then during that time, I did the timing belt, water pump, all that stuff, painted everything nice. And this was factory all red. I painted it black through the center to give it more contrast to match the car better. I did replace the cap and rotor with new products. I got those at Advanced Auto Parts. And basically the alternator, I think at factory is like a 70 amp. I went with a Nissan Maxima alternator. That's a 90 amp. That's pretty much bolt in, and it gives me more amperage to charge and run the electronics. So I went that route. On the ignition side of things, I had this Sport Compact MSD ignition box just sitting around. So I decided to make a bracket and install that. And this car has the digital dash, so I had to run this MSD ignition adapter right here that plugs into the box with this connector here, and that allows the digital dash to work with the MSD box. I did take the factory power transistor out and I replaced it with a newer power transistor from a Nissan Maxima as well. I did have to swap a pin, like 2 pins around on it to make that work, but it works great. I've had no issues with it, and I'm running an MSD Blaster 2 coil with Taylor Thunderbolt 8mm spark plug wires, and I just got standard NGK plugs. I do have the idle air control valve and all that delete kit, eBay kit as well. That gets rid of all that and makes things look nicer. So I had that installed as well. And these cars don't come with intercoolers, and I wanted a front mount intercooler, and I didn't like the way that people routed it through the fender, fender wells. They cut holes in them and all that. I didn't want to do that, so basically I had this, found this radiator right here. They're modeled off of a Volkswagen Scirocco, but they have mounting tabs on the side. A lot of people use them for like sandrails. I got that off of eBay as well. I mounted one to begin with, and it just wasn't doing the job of cooling it. So I ordered another one, and then what I did basically is I had them welded in parallel. Now I have 2 radiators in parallel, and it keeps the temperatures under control. And I have a Mishimoto heavy-duty 11-inch radiator fan. And to control the radiator fan, I have this billet coupler. It's a 1.5-inch billet coupler with the thermal switch. I got that off of eBay as well. And basically it has a 200-degree thermal switch. And once it gets above 200 degrees, the switch engages and it turns on the relay, and then the relay sends the power to the radiator fan. And it's basically a standalone system. So once I turn off the ignition and the coolant is above 200 degrees, the fan will stay on until it goes below, and then it will turn off on its own, and it's been working great. I've had no issues with that. And like I stated, I went with this setup so that I can route the intercooler piping on the side right here, because that's like a big challenge with these cars is intercooler piping, routing and everything with the factory radiators. So like I said, I didn't want to go through the fender walls, cutting holes and all that. So I have a 2.5-inch intercooler universal piping kit I bought, and I routed it through the side here, and it comes through. And I have another eBay intercooler that's 28 inches long. I think it's 28 inches long and 12 inches tall. And that allowed me to mount a front mount intercooler and route the piping like I wanted it. And what I did was, I didn't like how the oil filter is on the side of the block, and when you do an oil change it spills out on the engine block. I went through all the pain of repainting everything and making it look pretty. I went ahead and ordered a G Plus oil filter relocator and oil cooler kit, and I got that off of eBay as well. And basically it has a fitting right there with some a sandwich plate that mounts to the engine block with some AND fittings, and then it runs some AND lines up to the front with this adapter for the oil filter relocator adapter right there. And there is a 15-row oil cooler that sits right behind the front mount intercooler. And I did make a custom air dam in the front to keep the incoming air that goes through the intercooler all in this area, not allowing it to escape on the side. So I had some aluminum sheeting that I got and cut up, along with some aluminum flat stock, and I made a nice little air ducting system that allows incoming air to go across the intercooler, the oil cooler, and hit the radiators. So this setup has been working just fine for me, and I like the way it came up because I had to get a little crafty, and this car is unique in that manner, and I like my setup. So nobody else got this. I'm like pretty much the only one rocking this stuff, and I think that's pretty cool. So I did also I have a electronic boost gauge, basically vacuum line mounted up to the sensor right here, and it sends an electric signal to the boost gauge, and this is like a glow shift. That's an eBay. You can get those off of eBay. The shifter is a 240SX shifter, and that actually came with the car. Once I did a clutch kit on it and everything, I figured it out that they had a 240SX shifter installed on it, and I have an aftermarket steering wheel, and that is a Nardi 350 millimeter steering wheel. And let's see, on the downpipe, I made a custom downpipe with V-band, and has a flex pipe with a 2.5-inch straight pipe exhaust out the rear, and it sounds great with the turbo. And basically it really sounds good. You can hear that VG note, and I like it, so it works. And basically this has been a full budget build, guys. The most expensive parts that I had to buy basically is the coilovers, but you know, I wanted really good coilovers that were made for a Z31. So if you guys are interested in coilovers, powertricks.com. You know, they'll do you right, man. The product is high quality, and Charles Park, the owner of the company, stands behind his product. Any questions and concerns, he'll take care of you. Any component that fails, they will warranty out the individual component up to a year, I believe. But if you need to buy a component, they'll sell you individual components for the coilovers, so you're not stuck having to buy a whole nother set. And it worked out pretty well. So what else did I do to this car? Trying to figure out. I've been talking about a lot of different things here, and I don't really know. Oh yeah, the lip kit, MSA JDM lip kit. I got that, and the Z Parts Store is where I got that. It was about 200 something. I don't really remember. It was like 200 something bucks, I believe. And it's fiberglass, but it mounts really well. The fitment, you know, I had to cut the ends of it off because it didn't quite fit just right. But after doing that, I made it work, and I had to trim a lot of the air ducting that goes into the factory bumper cover off because I'm running that front mount intercooler. And I think that's about it, man. I think that's all that I got on the car. And whenever I was had the heads off, I looked at the exhaust manifold. It had stress cracks. I'd welded those up, repainted the manifolds with thermal paint, and it's holding up great. And basically, I think that's it. I did at one point have bigger injectors on it, but when I installed it, I was having a bad misfire and ended up having a stuck injector. I couldn't get it unstuck, and I kept the factory turbo injectors. And I got to tell you, I have a factory Z31 turbo pump with the factory injectors, and at 10 PSI, you know, the engine gets enough fuel that it needs with the fuel controller. I haven't had any issues with it, you know, starving the fuel. And it's been holding up just great at the boost levels that I have it at right now. So anyway, I think that about wraps up everything that I have on the car, guys. I did replace the clutch line with the steel braided line as well, I believe. And that's about it, man. The transmission mount, I ended up finding a polyurethane transmission mount. It's basically a polyurethane block, and I installed that, and you know, just to replace the worn out rubber one. And the axles, they're factory axles, but I did replace the axles as well with new ones. And just kind of went through everything and repainted a lot of parts, and just made things look nice on the car. So that's pretty much it, guys. I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anything else, but that's about it. It's pretty much a simple, basic setup. It's old school, but it works, and I'm having fun driving the car. But we're going to take this thing to the next level with that Heim joint kit on the suspension, and I can't wait to do that and get the camber and toe and everything set exactly how it needs to be. And you guys will be along for the ride on that. So if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, guys. Thank y'all for watching, and like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will definitely see you guys on the next episode. So peace out.